Hey everybody, it's Andy Snow, aka Steven Anderson Snow. I finally received, after months and months and months, what I requested months and months ago, that the county of Maui, the hospital, the police department all said, hey, we're gonna send this out here in 2 weeks. It might take as much as 2 months, but it's been probably close to a year. It was supposed to be all the hospital records from the second assault, where all my ribs were broken or fractured. I lost my spleen. Excuse my weight, but you can see the scar. It starts from where? It goes all the way down to here. Yeah. The first guy who tried to kill me with a roofing hatchet, I'm supposed to have gotten a CD of those pictures. The parole board had let this man out 2 weeks prior. He was high on meth. I had just moved onto a property to help clean it up. And the second night I was there, this guy showed up with a roofing hatchet, trying to get money off me. And I was like, dude, I ain't got no money. And, I just moved in here. He's like, well, you better get out. You got fucking 5 minutes. So I left, man. I didn't have no weapons. And this guy had a roofing hatchet. And he did not look like a friendly person. And kept calling me Howley. Howley, Howley. That means fucking white people. Excuse my language. But it actually means no no breath of life. Ha 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 ha. I got plenty of ha. 2 people tried to beat me to death. Now, they could have been possessed. I don't know, but I think it was hatred, 1, and 2, the second guy, almost exactly a year apart, was someone that I had been helping out. This kid, had been making good money before COVID, and when COVID hit and the $50.2 billion a year tourist industry stopped, people started getting a little crazy. Anyways, Maui Health System. Let me see. Here is the first page. Okay, I'll find a better way to do this, but Basically, it's the authorization for release of protected health information. Maui Memorial Medical Center. For Stephen Snow, 12/28/74. This one says 10/26/2019. This is from the first attempted murder that somehow the guy only got 4 years. And Detective Bigos was like, man, he's like, you can sue the parole board. He's like, they let this guy out, and he was obviously still extremely violent. And I'll show you the pictures. I have to put them on the CD. But here's some of the description. A brief diagnosis. Of course, I'm sure I'd have to pay extra for the x-rays and stuff. Okay. 10/26. Head and facial trauma. Philtrum ascatirum. I don't know what those last words mean, but findings. Did the injury cause major avulsion, laceration, or penetration of the skin? Yes. Cictrum complex lacerate. I really can't read that. It's either laceration or a slash and AZEATOIOM or IM. Anyways, that's real helpful to know. I guess I'll have to look this stuff up. Did the injury cause burn? No. It was a roofing hatchet. Did the injury cause a bone fracture? No. Oh my goodness. This tooth was sheared off and other teeth were broken. Are my teeth not bones? Is my jaw not bones? Is head and facial trauma with an axe? Let me see. Can we see the scar? Oh yeah, look, he bounced it off my jaw. It went down all the way down to there. If it would have gone any deeper, it would have gone into my jugular. I have nicks on my ear. He hit me in the back of the head, I don't know how many times. He hit me, I had a backpack on, but he still hit me, He still hit me in the back and the ribs, and I already have a back injury from January 28, 2006 at Lelekea at the federal park. It's all documented, and it's on the Maui news. And what did I say? What did I tell the world? Because Matthew James Boattini's father runs an oil corporation. I told him how brave his son was facing his death. It was stupid of me to fight his death because it ruined my spine. And I've lost everything because of it. I did have a neck injury before that, but the beating with the roofing hatchet and by what they say was John Henry DeCambra Jr. He must have been using an alias because there was a different name on there. It said Rocky Rodriguez initially, but really, you know, I ended up, Rocky Rodriguez is a rodeo star, a Hawaiian Paniolo, and it was definitely not him. I don't know what his brother's criminal record is. He's got a big swastika on his right hand. It's interesting there. Even some of the natives are part of the Aryan Brotherhood. So I've been told. I've gone to meetings and what have you. Anyways, did the injury create a substantial risk of death? It says no. My my lip was hanging down this far. This almost cut my jugular vein open. The blows to my head could have killed me. Any one of those hits could have killed me. The one where I was sleeping after I had left the property and gone where everybody else goes and camps. This guy followed me, waited till I was asleep, and then took a hatchet to my face. That woke me up. Something saved me. Now, I don't know. I don't know if I believe in angels, but if there's angels, their wings were just stopping that hatchet enough, because I should be dead. You know. Did the injury cause a serious concussion? Oh yes, head injury with loss of consciousness. That's interesting, because there was at least a dozen cop cars that watched me walk up to them. And then within about 30 yards, this guy realized he was so filled with hatred for the white man that he didn't realize that there was at least a dozen cop cars with the blue lights flashing 30 yards away. He finally turned around and he kept carrying his hatchet. They're like, "Who did this?" And I pointed, says, "The guy with the bloody hatchet." So they went and picked him up. I ID'd him. And, they gave me a bunch of, they gave me probably a page with maybe 50 pictures on it. And I picked him out of the 50 pictures, and apparently, that's who they had in custody. So, did the injury, E, okay, we're on E. Did the injury cause a tearing, rupture, or corrosive damage to the esophagus, viscera, or other internal organs? No? Well, they just said that I had a head injury. Is the brain not an organ? Look at that. Head injury. Did the injury cause a tearing, rupture, or corrosive damage to the esophagus, viscera, or other internal organs? My brain is an internal organ, and it has been damaged. It's taken me a year and a half just to start thinking properly again. Anyways, F. Did the injury create a substantial risk of death? And they say no. But it did. There was a huge risk of death. The man was wielding a roofing hatchet. And I didn't have anything. I was fucking defenseless. All I had was my words. I told them I served the Royal Order of Kamehameha for a year and a half. Uncle Ed Kaivi Opele got me introduced to Kaliko Kanahele over on the Big Island, and I started making hokupus and doing ceremonies. And then I left for 10 years because my back was in so much pain. I decided I wanted to come in Sundance. So I did. I came in Sundance. Well, nothing that I seem to do takes away the pain. The doctors want to fuse my back and do all this stuff. And I know there's technologies that can take care of that stuff without, possibly putting me in a wheelchair or making the pain worse. I'm already, on a I would say a common dose, but they say it's a high dose. But I know plenty of guys who take 4 and 5 a day. They say, oh, well, the body can only absorb so much. I'm like, well, have you ever smashed your neck and your spine? Have you ever been beaten near to death twice? Then don't tell me how I feel, what I feel, and what works for me and what does not. Anyways, Maui County. God, didn't even try to hide the corruption. Okay, G. Did the injury cause any serious permanent disfigurement? No. Yeah. Unless they do what they're supposed to, which is restitution. They were supposed to not wheel me out from the hospital with head injuries and supposedly a man on the loose. I don't know. They wouldn't tell me. It was like The detective was on my side for a minute, and then all of a sudden, I couldn't get an answer out of him. He's like, well, you disappeared. I was like, dude, people told me disappear or else we're going to disappear you. I even had some of this guy's friends offer, give me a handful of Oxy 80s. Cause they're like, we know you're in a lot of pain, bro. Here you go. Please just, can you get out of the area for a while and just stay away from the courts if you know what's good for you. No, I ended up going up to LRS or whatever up at the Aloha House, and for 20 days or so, and called them. He's like, well, you disappeared. No cop has ever had a hard time finding me on Maui. During COVID, they wrote me 18 to 20 tickets. And I'm disabled. Well, I have congestive heart failure. I've had a cardiac ablation for tachycardia or bradycardia. Right there. Plus my back. 15 years ago, the doctor said I had the back of a 70-year-old man who worked concrete his whole life. If you read the reports for my MRIs, it's shocking. The one that I first paid for, it actually shows the loss of each vertebrae and the damage done. Now the one that the state of Oregon paid for, none of that stuff was in there. But it did mention that at the T7 or T10, that when I lifted that boulder that was well over a ton, I popped that disc, and around it formed a hemangioma, which is basically it's a it's blood vessels and nerves that grew around the herniation in my disc. And when I told the doctor that, he looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, oh, that can't be. That just doesn't happen. I'm like, well, tell that to the man whose profession is to read MRIs, magnetic resonance imagery, one of Tesla's wonderful designs. Anyways, man, 24 minutes and I'm barely through the first page. Okay, yeah, permanent disfigurement, yeah, until they replace my teeth, and, it's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That's where restitution comes from, so that I don't have to go and take that man's tooth and chop him in the head with a hatchet or stone him to death or whatever the ancient brutal laws are. Now, the hospital was supposed to house me I found out that there were lots of houses on Maui that help victims of violent crimes. That's why there's a commission for the victims of violent crimes and a group called Freedom for the People. Both of them said this should be on CNN. What was done to you was brutal, you know? I'm not a rich man, you know? I'm on Social Security. You know, but I went to Hawaii, which I knew was incredibly expensive. And, you know, I went with my 10 grand, you know. After the first attack, I just, I don't know. It's like I couldn't think straight. I couldn't act right. And I just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what happened to my money. I'm sure I can track the results of this and that, but, you know, I probably went through 30 phones in 2 years on Maui. They'll steal anything from you. You know, the locals that are poor hang out at the beach all day and get drunk and barbecue. They'll steal from you in a heartbeat. It doesn't matter what color they are. You know, some of my ancestors went through much, much harder times than the Hawaiians. The Hawaiians, on the night that they were supposed to announce their beautiful constitution of Aloha, Sandra Dole, and all those pineapple and sugarcane barons hired some merchant marines and interrupted the celebration, burned the Constitution, a bunch of stuff was destroyed, and they took over. And yes, because of the sandalwood trade that Kamehameha I did to finance, he wanted to unify the islands because he thought our culture will be completely destroyed if we do not unite. And at this point, most of the people don't even know who they are, what they were, you know. You know, I went from making hokupus, and then because I was gone for 10 years, Uncle Kaliko, I guess, thought I was a piece of shit show off. And, you know, I was trying to be positive and happy. I'm on a lot of medication. I'm sorry, Uncle Kaliko. I'm sorry, Mokhtar Mbeke. Kaliko Kanahele, like, you know. Ed Kaivi, through his thoughts, brought me to you guys. Now, shit went down. C'est la vie, you know. I was willing, I went. And, unfortunately, lots of, crazy shit happened. Anyways, permanent disfigurement. Yeah, that's permanent. I'm disfigured. I don't have any fucking teeth. And the Oregon Health Plan wouldn't even pay to put me under to get my teeth taken out. Even though the Novocaine didn't work, they sent me to 7 different dentists, all trying to do the same thing. I said, you guys have to put me under. I was almost murdered twice. Once with a roofing hatchet. The first hit to the mouth, that woke me up. And then the guy fucking hit me in the back of the head. He followed me for over a mile. Just screaming hate about how I don't want howlers on my fucking aina. Get the fuck off my aina. I was on public property. And I wasn't even, 30 yards from where all the other people camp. Anyways, thanks parole board, and thanks justice system for doing nothing to help me. And then, obviously you knew how to find me because everywhere I went, whether I was on the beach, hiding behind a big wall, reading a book by myself, because I can't. They asked me to march continually. They were so fucking cruel to anybody who was houseless, at a van. It was horrible, man. It was total harassment. And if they wanted to find me, to take me to court or put me into a safe house until these trials are done, the first thing that ever happened to me there in Kihei was a guy I knew for 16 years stole a month's worth of my pain medication. That would have been $800 to replace. You know what Sergeant Acow did? Nothing. He did fucking nothing. And they all knew, oh, hey, you're the guy with all the meds, right? I was like, yeah. Dude, stealing people's narcotics is a big crime, and doing nothing about it. And he shattered my cheekbone with a fucking wood. There's actually a scar. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway. Anyway, there's a big scar right here where he used the one wood to knock me out because I was chasing him to get my medicine back, because without my medicine, my life is a living hell. It is barely livable. And my body starts shutting down. I just, after 16 years of constant pain, and then all this shit happening to me, I tried to save some 24-year-old young man's life in 2006. I tried to make it here as a medical grower, which I became a master at. But you know what? When I back got to the point where I could not take care of all my medical patients, I tried finding roommates who wanted to help me, people who needed a place to live. Hey, come live with me. My back is that of an old man, I need help. I will give you a percentage. Anyways, will the injury, H. Will the injury cause a protracted loss or impairment of the function of any bodily member or organ? It says no. Once again, no. I started suffering serious, what I can only call brain injury since then. And you know, I don't even see a name on this. Maybe it's on the end. If so, approximate length of time of such loss or impairment. If so, what? Anyways, oh, here's a picture of that must be a blood spot there. I don't know if you can see the little blood spot. I don't know, maybe when I got to the cops, I passed out, but I remember. Oh, shit, I read you the back page. Okay. I'm sorry. Department of the Prosecuting Attorney, James Bovins, D.O. Office